Welcome to the Beyond Sugar Freedom podcast. I'm your host, Danielle Dame, holistic nutrition coach and speaker. Let's dive in. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode here on the Beyond Sugar Freedom podcast. I'm so excited for our guest today. Welcome to the show, Sakura.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Yes, this is long overdue. We were just chatting before the episode, of course. This is a topic. The topic of Kambo is something that I've wanted to bring to the show for a long time after having my own experience with you with this medicine. And thank you so much for coming in and sharing the basics. I know there's a lot of my clients and my listeners who are interested in medicine work and the various options and what they're all about. And so we're going to dive into all of that today. And just so grateful for your expertise and all the wisdom that you bring to this work.
Thank you for having me. I love Kambo, and I'm just so thrilled and honored to share about this sacred medicine with you all.
Yay. So before we dive in any deeper, I love kind of starting out with a little bit of your story. So for those who don't know you yet and are about to fall in love with you, what got you into, sort of your own journey and transformation into health and wellness? I know you've come out of a corporate career, as I read in your bio, and are now, obviously in such a different line of work. So beautiful. What was that transition for you and inspiration?
Yeah, well, sisterhood has always been something that's really nourished me and lit me up, really. So that's always been part of me since I was a child and I was in Girl Guides. But really, my path into this realm of healing was through my own, pain to gain, my own challenges, and that was focalized around my womb space. And I had so many health challenges. Like the list goes on and on. Recurring bladder infections, bacterial vaginosis, yeast infections, sharp stabbing pain in my womb space, and polycystic ovary syndrome, irregular cycles, hormonal imbalances. Like really the list goes on and on. Herpes virus, and a lot of trauma to my womb space. So this was as a result of sexual abuse, as a result of pregnancy loss, as a result of violence and violations. So I was suffering with a lot. And I went deep into the path of healing my own womb space. So this has been a path I've been on now for over 10 years. And after, I guess I've been really stepping into this role of helping women rise into their sexuality, into healing their own womb space and the trauma that's residing in the womb for just a few years now. But it's been a passion of mine and something that I've been able to heal within myself completely. So I can now say that I don't have any of those symptoms anymore after I started building a deep relationship with my womb. So that's like the brief answer. I can go way more into that, but I just did want to mention that the womb is the place where our creativity resides. It's the place where our power is, our feminine Shakti power. This is linked to our life force energy and what makes us feel vital and alive and juicy and creative. And so if you're a woman that is experiencing a block in your sexuality, in your creativity, and feeling alive and juicy and lit up by life, then that is a direct result of a trauma that's being held in the womb. And so that's the type of work that I do.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you for explaining that. And, that topic that you just touched on around the womb work that we do is obviously another conversation that we're going to have you back on the show, because today we want to focus on Kambo, but there's so much right there. And I do feel called, and I didn't share this earlier, is that's how I started working with Sakura. So for those who are listening, I worked with you in that realm and with that work for about 6 months. And that was actually a huge catalyst for me in healing the traumas that I was holding in my womb and continue to unfold, and actually making the decision to become a mother. So I'm like forever grateful for the work that we did together. It's been incredible, like having you there to guide, but not pressure me, and help me really uncover, clear the cobwebs to like my own inner knowing and my own power and my own creativity. And we talk a lot about sort of empowerment here on the podcast in different ways. And I think, you brought that so beautifully in with this connection to the divine feminine in that womb space. And whether or not there's still a womb there, I know, hysterectomies are a thing. And, there are women who maybe don't have a womb anymore. But yeah, let's put a pin in that, because that's like a really beautiful conversation. Let's shift over into Kambo, because that's also work that we did together. And, one of the reasons why I was like, of course, you have to come on the show to talk about this. Maybe we can start with just the basics. Like, what is Kambo?
Yeah. Okay. And of course, Kambo's linked to the womb. So I'm like, okay,
Yes.
we got to tie this all in together. Because it can help remove those trauma imprints from the womb space. But Kambo does so much. And that's like a whole nother thing, is my story with Kambo, which maybe we will have time later for. But Kambo it's this amazing, miraculous medicine from the Amazon that comes from the green monkey tree frog. So it's actually the venom of the tree frog that is the medicine. It's like the most incredible alchemy that you can imagine. And like it's actually magic. It really is. And so this secretion from this tree frog from the Amazon, it heals the body in these miraculous ways. It heals the physical, emotional, and spiritual layers of the body, of your entire being. So, very powerful medicine. It's a non-psychoactive, non-psychedelic medicine. It's a purgative. So, the purpose of receiving the medicine is that you purge, you throw up, you are purging out these toxins out of your body and this dense, heavy energy that the Amazonians called panema, which just means this heavy, dark, dense energy that we accumulate in our energy body. So it contains over 100 bioactive peptides. There's no other ingredient like this or substance like this on Earth. And so all of these different peptides have different functions in the body. And the list goes on and on. They've been clinically, scientifically researched. And so essentially what this medicine's doing is it's bringing the body back into its normal level of homeostasis. It's bringing it back into its balance again, into its divine blueprint before all of those toxins entered into the bloodstream, got held in the liver and all of the other places in the body. So yeah, that's essentially in a nutshell what Kambo medicine is.
Yeah. Yeah, the basics. I know there's so much more to it. So we great summary. Yeah, very cool. And I think that's, just thinking of my listeners or first timers thinking about Kambo or starting to research Kambo. I think that's an important distinction. I talk here, I've had different episodes on the show already about psychedelics and different pieces, but the non-psychoactive piece is really fascinating because at least for me, I mean, I haven't explored all the medicines yet. This was the only one that really kept me in my body. And I kind of liked that about it. It was very much like an embodiment experience versus going somewhere else in my mind, right? And having a psychedelic experience. And it's really quick. So we'll get to all those details about the actual, what it looks like to work with. But I'm curious, if we could go next into some of the effects and the benefits of Kambo. Like, what are you seeing? You said that it helps purge the physical, spiritual, emotional areas of the body. What does that actually mean? And how does that actually show up for people, in their healing journey?
Yeah. So most people, because everyone's going to be different. So after you receive the medicine, and it's going to be different every single time you receive the medicine, and what it offers you is exactly what you need in the moment in your life. So you can come, and intention's really important, of course. We can set our intention with okay, what do we want to release? Whether that's, can be a combination of physical, emotional, mental, spiritual things, but really the medicines has an innate intelligence. It's going to come in, do its work, release. Sometimes we don't even know what it released. It's just going to release that for us, exactly what we need. It won't release anything we're not ready to release. And you'll notice how you feel different afterward. You might not know exactly what it was, like I said, but you're going to feel different. So most people afterward feel an increase in vitality. They just feel very energetic. It's like you feel like a big weight has been lifted off your shoulders. A lot of people feel mental clarity. So it brings crystal clarity in the mind space. It's like, oh, okay, like removing the brain fog. So it's like, now I know what I'm gonna do next. What's my next step? Um, so the benefits are many. So all of these peptides have all these functions in the body. So some of the things they do is they combat and target candida, right? If we're talking about sugar, that's like if we take a lot of sugar, candida loves sugar, so do parasites. So it helps to remove parasites, candida. It helps to bring back good bacteria into the gut so it can reset our gut biome. And it helps to remove toxins that are built up in our liver over time, or the organs and the tissues of our body on a physical level. So it's just so magical because, yeah, okay, I could just go on, but I'm trying to give like the quick the quick version of the benefits. It works on every single layer, the circulatory, the lymphatic. Um, it actually reactivates all of the glands in your body, so it resecretes hormones. So it can bring your hormones back into balance. So it can help with so many things on the physical level. And, like it's been studied and researched, all these peptides. Some of them fight cancer, some of them are anti inflammatory. And on the sort of more of the emotional level, it actually, if there's any stuck energy in the body, it's going to unlock that so that the energy is moving freely again in the energy body again. So it works on the chakra system, it works on the energy body. And usually, before we have a physical ailment, there is some kind of disharmony within the energy body first, and then that manifests eventually into a physical ailment. And so it's going to do that on every layer. So it's going to go in, unblock that dense stuck energy. A lot of times when we have trauma, that's going to get lodged into the body, into the physical body. And so Kambo actually releases that without having to re-trigger us, without having to bring us back to that traumatic memory again. It just releases it, which is why I think this medicine is so amazing, because it works on all these levels, all these layers, right? It lifts off that dense, heavy energy that builds up on our energy body. And that's normal. Everybody has this, what the Amazonians call panema, right? We all build up this density over time. And so this is just an avenue to release that. So it's working on all these layers of our body.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. It does sound magical as you're explaining it, right? It's like, this is too good to be true. But it is. I mean, I can attest to this firsthand, having done a session with you. And I remember like afterwards feeling so much lighter. I also remember feeling like such a badass warrioress. I was like, I just did that. Like, I am incredible. Yeah, I remember feeling clearer. I remember just feeling really clean. I know a lot of my clients are coming to work with me going, oh, I just want to feel clean inside. And this is the cleanest I've ever felt, I think. In the days after, I was like, wow, I just feel so refreshed and so new, and like something left, and more than one thing left, lots left. And just what that can do to the body, like you're describing, one of the things as you're talking that just I'm getting re-inspired and activated about, because I know we live close to each other as well, and possibly in the future could have some combinations and some work together here, because with everyone listening to this podcast, a lot of my clients who come to my retreats or come to things with me, right? It's all about detoxing from sugar, right? Clearing the body and clearing the nervous system, processing emotions. Like, this is a big part of the work that I do. And Kambo is such a beautiful like partner in that, and tool that we could use to really access deeper levels of like getting all the shitty toxins out of our body, and the processed food and all the chemicals and all the negative crap that we're carrying, and help us really step into that new version of ourselves and start fresh. So planting that seed for the next retreat being the two of us focused on sugar and Kambo medicine. I think the like it works really well. So just planting that, planting that there. And actually, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. I mean, I shared a few of that, but you already mentioned a little bit about candida and obviously the gut microbiome. Like, are there other things that you've seen around Kambo supporting with like addiction and even like sugar cravings as well?
Mhm. Yeah. Well, I just wanted to say, first of all, yes, let's do a collaboration.
Let's do it.
Yeah, and Kambo is such a powerful ally for jumping into, it's like a reset of your whole body, really. So it's like going into a cleanse or a different way, a different lifestyle, a different, I don't like to use the word diet. It's like you're entering into a healthier lifestyle. Kambo is like a great like catapulting into that, like because it does help to cut cravings, and it does help with addiction. So sometimes after people receive Kambo, they'll be like, I don't drink coffee anymore. I don't like crave like greasy fried foods or sugar anymore. I stopped smoking marijuana. Like it's pretty incredible. And even one woman was like, she wasn't able to eat garlic. And like that's a big deal. Garlic is like in everything.
Garlic's
Everything.
amazing. Yeah.
And now she can eat garlic. It's been
Yeah.
1 year and she can
Yeah.
like I just had a quick update with her. She can still eat garlic. So it really helps with like food sensitivities. And of course we all know there's this brain gut connection and Kambo works with both. And so these peptides actually bind to receptors sites of our cells and can actually even impact the way that we think. So, addictions are really linked to like what is the root cause of an addiction on a psychological, emotional level. And Kambo works on all these different layers. So, of course, it's targeting all of this at the same time. And so it is really powerful for cravings and addictions and sugar and all of these things. And yeah, you feel afterward, I always say like a newborn baby because it's just amazing. Like I used to drink a lot of alcohol when I was growing up. I mean, just for a very long time, not just growing up. I drank a lot of alcohol. And now I can enjoy like a little, like half a glass of wine, and I'm tipsy, and that's all I need because of Cambo just made my liver like a newborn baby. So, um, yeah, it's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's incredible. I'm even thinking as you're talking too, I know one of the things you'd mentioned to me or I'd seen in the past is also fertility. Right? Luckily, I didn't have any problems with that, but I know a lot of women, and you've spoken to this, I think, will use Cambo to like cleanse the body in order to support fertility. So anyone out there struggling with
Mhm.
fertility, this is an option, right? That the body could clear, the hormones can reset, and perhaps you can invite in. Obviously, I'm not doing Cambo while pregnant because we don't want my body to attack or that baby to be expelled from my body. But in preparation for it, like I think what a beautiful gift that could be, to support women who are struggling with that, which I know so many who are. Um, yeah, so much potential.
Mhm.
Amazing. So, what does it actually look like to do a session with Kambo? And I know every practitioner is different. So, obviously, speak to the way that you work with it. What does it actually look like? I'm sure earlier in this podcast, I'm laughing because I know many of you listeners heard Sakura say, you purge, you vomit, you throw up, and you might have just like ended this podcast or said, heck no, I'm never doing a Kambo because that just terrified you. So please don't be terrified by that piece, but would love if you could walk us through. I know for me, that was really important before obviously going into the ceremony. Like, what can I expect? What does it look like? What's the process? How long does it last? What can I expect in my body? All that sort of stuff. Maybe you could give us a quick overview of that.
Yeah. Okay. So be really discerning about who you work with is one of the
Yes.
biggest things I wanted to say first. And also don't believe everything you see on the internet. There's a lot of misinformation. There's a lot of fear mongering around this medicine. It is a legal substance in North America. I just wanted to also mention that.
Right.
Not that I don't condone illegal substances,
Yeah.
but Cambo is completely safe when taken with a certified practitioner that is really tuned into their intuition and holds safe and sacred space. So that's a very important piece. And it's not, I just want to say, first of all, it's not a medicine for everybody. There are certain contraindications that not everybody can actually receive the medicine. If they're taking certain pharmaceutical medications, for example, those are contraindicated. If you've had a heart attack and have heart stents, there's a whole list of things that your practitioner should go through in the intake to verify that you are safe to receive the medicine. So if there's no contraindications present, you're working with a certified Kambo practitioner, it is a very safe medicine. So first, just want to say that, and that it is scary. Like, there's this level of anxiety and fear that comes around receiving the medicine, and that is completely normal. So it is like, holy shit, like I'm receiving frog venom and it's actually being burnt into my skin and then I'm gonna throw up. Like, what the F am I getting myself into?
Right.
So it sounds kind of extreme, and like I said, there's a lot of misinformation and fear out there as well on the web, but it's not as scary as it sounds. And every single time I'm in the moment and I'm receiving the medicine, I'm like, why am I doing this again to myself? Because it's very uncomfortable. And then afterward, just like, okay, I'll do that again because I feel incredible. So how it's received is it's received through the skin. So there's really small burn marks that are made on the surface. So I don't know if maybe you can even see my
Not quite.
no, okay, they're
Yeah. It's
faded.
okay.
So they fade. So little tiny burn marks are made in the skin. So I'm a very gentle, like I'm like always gentle with the medicine. So I start with two, maybe three if it's your first time, like little tiny burn marks. And it sounds extreme again, but it's just super, it's just like they're superficial, they're just on the surface level of the skin. Okay. So it's gonna be like, okay, it hurt for like a millisecond. That's it.
Yeah.
Some people are scared, really scared of the burning part, but
I was
I
scared.
can
I
assure
remember
you,
being scared and it was
yeah,
nothing.
it's not
Like
that bad. It's really
it's
not
not.
that bad.
It's not. It's
So the
gone in
burn
2
marks,
seconds.
yeah, so the
Yeah.
burn marks are made in the skin because that's how the medicine enters into the body, has to be through the skin. So it enters your lymphatic system very quickly. So the medicine itself, I want to show you what it looks like if you're obviously just watching the podcast, you can't see it, but if you're on the YouTube, this is the stick of Kambo medicine. So it's just literally the dried venom on a little piece of wood, and it's dried up and it gets reactivated when I mix water onto it. And it becomes this like kind of jelly substance. So that I make little balls of that go into the skin, and as soon as it goes on your skin, it's going to burn a little bit. And then in about a minute or less than a minute, it's very, very quick. You're going to feel a flush. You're going to feel a head rush. So you're going to feel your heart rate increase. You might even feel like a pounding sensation in your head. It could be quite intense feeling. You're going to have an increase in body temperature. So you might get really sweaty, really hot. You might even feel the medicine scanning through your body. You might feel little tingling, numbness sensations in different parts of your body. So this intensity only lasts for a couple of minutes and then it subsides. And then the nausea kicks in. So this nausea can range from mild to really extreme nausea for some people. We can't always compare because everyone's experience is going to be different. It's going to be different every time. But the nausea will be quite uncomfortable. And then the purging usually comes in some waves. Sometimes people have to run to the washroom, bottom purge. Sometimes people will have some cramping in their gut or like different parts of their body as the medicine's really working its way through. And then sometimes when you're purging, you're going to see these different colors and textures coming out in the bucket, being like, did that just come out of me? Because before you even receive the medicine, you're fasting for 8 hours. So you really have, no food in your stomach. And then all of a sudden you're purging and you might see some dark black blob come out. And you're like, whoa. And so, or like some really intense, like vibrant fluorescent yellow, right? The bile is coming out. It's producing new bile and getting rid of these sometimes energetic or physical parasites. That's what this black gunk is coming out of you. And so you're going to be purging. And the great thing about Kambo, you're like, that doesn't sound great. The great thing is it doesn't last very long. So most people sit with the medicine for only around 20 minutes. That's it. It can be on the really quick end of maybe like 4 or 5 minutes, which is really fast, but that's possible, all the way up till about 45 minutes, which is on the longer end. But most people average about 20 minutes. So yes, it's uncomfortable, but it doesn't last long. And the good thing is as well, is once the medicine afterward gets wiped off of your skin, all of those uncomfortable sensations will subside very quickly within less than a minute, and you'll feel fine after. Most people after are exhausted because their body's just done all this purging and this work. And so most people rest afterward and then get up and feel great, or might get up and feel kind of groggy and feel great the following morning when they wake up.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's
Wow.
essentially what it is. I just wanted to also mention another side effect is the swelling. So there are some people that get a significant amount of swelling in their face and throat, which is called frog face, and it subsides after sometimes a
Yeah.
couple of hours. Sometimes it takes 24 hours to kind of for the puffiness to go away. So that can happen to some people. And
Yeah.
and that's like essentially what it feels like and what happens when you're receiving the medicine.
Yeah. Yeah. Ben had that a little bit. I didn't get the swelling with mine, but I think Ben said he did a little bit in the
Mm,
face.
yeah.
Yeah, you did such a beautiful job explaining that. I'll share just like my pieces as well, and exactly sort of what you said. It actually, it really wasn't. I know you say it feels really uncomfortable. For me, it wasn't. Like it was, I remember just feeling like really warm. Like I think I got red or like that flush. I don't remember feeling any pressure. I mean, this is for me, obviously everybody's different. So I'm just sharing my piece for everybody curious. And yeah. And then I remember starting to feel like a little bit nauseous, but I was one that I couldn't purge. I had to actually encourage my purge. Right. And after a while, you encouraged me to do that. And that was helpful. I had to like help my body get it out. Like it wasn't really coming on strong, which was interesting. So I had like a very light nausea, which is probably why, it wasn't as uncomfortable for me. But also the fact that it's so short, I loved that. It was like, okay, I'm just gonna, and I remember the purging itself was like 5 to 10 minutes. And then I was done, and we check in, right? And it's like, okay, that feels complete. We're done. And then you take the medicine off, and I felt normal pretty quick. And then I had the world's best bowel movement ever. I want to like promote that. It was so great. It was like half an hour later, I was like, oh yeah, okay, here comes the rest of it. And it was so, so rewarding. We all know what that feels like to have like a really good one. Yeah, and also wanted to mention too that I think you forgot the piece about the water, which I know many people think is like the hardest part. Is 2 liters of water that you drink before the medicine, right?
1.5 liters of water. So
One
on
and a
an empty
half.
stomach, that's also very uncomfortable and not easy to do. Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. That's hard to get down, right? And you're supposed to drink it like as quickly as possible, like just to have something in the stomach to flush out, right? To
Yeah,
have
like
that in
within
there.
5 minutes. It really works in conjunction with the Kambo and helps with the purging process.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, so that part isn't fun either, right? Some people actually feel like they're already ready to purge before the medicine even goes on.
yeah.
Like, I think I'm gonna purge already.
Too
I'm
much
like,
water.
great. Yeah. And like your experience like was a more easeful experience, and then
Yeah,
like some people have more challenging experiences. So it's I mean, I'd say most people after receiving it say, "Oh, okay, that wasn't as bad as I was psyching myself out for it to be." But I also don't want to tell people it's going to be easy, because sometimes it's really not. Sometimes it's a very
totally.
challenging Kambo experience for some, and then it's different every time. So just because you had this experience that time, maybe if
Right.
you do Kambo again, it's going to be much different.
Right. Yes.
Hmm.
Thank you for that reminder. That's really important. I mean, like with any journey, right? It's different every time, different for every person. Um, the other thing that I didn't mention that I remember finding really cool in my journey, and I think this was like the energetic spiritual piece. I remember being really nervous going in. I always am when it's a new medicine and my body doesn't know kind of what to expect. My ego is like online going, don't do it. Um, and I remember, I don't know if you remember this, I remember I started shaking beforehand, before I even had the medicine. Like I had this really nervous energy flowing through my body that was like, it was, I guess I would describe it like being out in the cold in the middle of winter. Like it was almost like a bone chattering, and like my teeth were chattering. And then when I took the medicine, it amplified. And I remember just knowing, I mean, because somatically I know the power of shaking. I just remember knowing mentally like, wow, something is like really shaking out of me, like something is releasing. And I kind of enjoyed it because I went in knowing that that was something good happening in my body, like something was shaking out. And I remember like actively going into it and amplifying it, and my teeth were chattering, and I was like just uncontrolled, like at that little like fine like bone chill like shiver the whole time. And yeah, for me that was really cool, because I feel like that was a big part of like whatever it was that needed to be released, maybe from my nervous system, or so just the other somatic aspects that came into it for me, that wasn't just about what came out of my stomach and out of my bowels. But it was also like the energetic movement, as you said, the medicine scans, and it goes in and works on so many different levels. But yeah, I just wanted to share that piece of my experience too, which I found really neat, knowing somatically how powerful that can be.
Yeah, the shaking is part of the releasing, and it's quite common for some people to shake. I usually
Yeah.
shake when I receive Kambo, and I love
Hmm.
it. I'm like, oh, it feels so good because my
Yeah.
body's shaking and it feels good. And of course, we see that animals when they get into a traumatic, scary experience, they start to shake. And so I think it's like the trauma that's being stored in the body is being released, and it's like an offsetting of the trauma that's been held.
Yeah.
And yeah, and of course, like you're starting to feel it even before the medicine goes on the body, and that's because we're working with a medicine that it's a spiritual medicine. It does have a spirit. It has an innate wisdom and intelligence to it. So one time I actually received a full Kambo experience the night before I did Kambo. The full thing. Like I got
Wow.
hot, my heart was racing, and I ran to the toilet and started purging before I received it.
Wow.
So it's like it works. I say that
Yeah.
Kambo medicine works in miraculous ways. It really does. And as soon as you decide you want to sit with the medicine, that moment you say yes before you even know it, and you decide you want to sit with the medicine, the spirit of Kambo actually starts to work with you and through you. So things might start shifting in your reality. You might start seeing signs around you in nature that is actually Kambo, the spirit of the medicine, speaking to you and giving you signs and messages. So it's pretty, like I said, miraculous, magical.
Yeah.
Those are the words I have to describe Kambo.
Yeah. And would that get like stronger as your body has that memory of the spirit? Like me as a first time doer all those months ago, maybe less of that like pre spirit and energy coming through for me, versus like my body, like you, right? You're well practiced. Your body knows Kambo very well. Like is more connected perhaps with the spirit, having had more sits with it.
I mean, not necessarily, because I think
Yeah.
everyone's different. Like I've had other, women say to me these profound experiences they've had in their dream time with the frog, for example, and this is before they even
Right.
received the medicine. So I think it just really depends on the person, and yeah, I would say
Yeah.
it doesn't necessarily matter how much medicine you've actually sat, because I've probably sat with the medicine about 50 times myself.
Yeah.
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 And
Yeah.
a
No, that's
frog
really
just showed
cool.
up on my windshield last week. Like I was
Yeah.
driving and there was a little frog there, and I'm like, "Oh, hello. Thanks, Kambo. I know I need to sit with you soon. Like thanks for the reminder."
Yeah. Yes. I
Yeah.
love that piece with this medicine work, because I've heard that theme with other medicines as well, right? It's like it'll show up for you, call you to it, and as soon as you decide to do it, I know I've had that experience with psilocybin before as well. It's like as soon as I decided, like the magic started percolating. Like I started feeling different, things started showing up, and my intention started like shifting. And yeah, it's pretty cool once the power of our mind, right? And then in combination with the, altered states of consciousness of these spirits and different medicines, and how we're all interplay if we're actually aware and connected, right? Outside of maybe this physical realm. So the podcast for another day, deeper dive into the
Yes.
spirituality and the energy pieces. Um, I'm thinking about my audience here as well, and myself. This was a question that I had going into Kambo, being an animal lover, right? This is really like,
Mhm.
oh, how do they actually get this secretion from the frog? Is it ethical? Is it safe? Is it harming the frog? Like, what's that process look like?
Yeah, good question. And I'm a, yeah, I'm such an animal lover, and I had these concerns myself. And, the frog is not harmed in the process, right? They're not killing the frog, they're not hurting the frog, they're catching. So the frogs live up in these trees in the jungle, and they have this certain croak sound that they emit at nighttime. And so the tribes people of the Amazon would go, and they usually come out at night. So the tribes people would go out at night and they would catch the frogs in the trees, but they don't really need, you don't really, I mean, I was down there, so I got to witness it all. You don't really catch them. Like they're really chill. They move really slow. They don't try to jump away. And then so you grab the little frog and then you scrape the secretion, which is the venom, the medicine, off its back onto the stick, and then they get released back into the wild. So, whether or not they're in a state of discomfort during this process of harvesting, we don't really know that for certain, but it is my belief that these frogs know what their medicine is actually being used for, and that it's like this exchange. I call it a shamanic exchange between the frog and the human. The frog is, it is tied up with its little hands to in order to have it with the secretion to come, like they kind of take a little stick and scrape it off its back and then release it. So I was there for the whole process of that. It is actually one really important thing I should mention is I was really worried. I don't buy my medicine just online. I buy it directly for myself from the Matses tribe, the tribes that I've visited down in the Peruvian part of the Amazon. But I was worried, what if they keep these frogs in captivity somewhere and they're just selling these sticks online and they're coming from frogs in like little cages? But what I learned, which is really good, is that they actually don't produce the medicine, the venom, if they're kept in captivity. So they have to be
Wow.
wild frogs. They have to be up in the trees wild in order to produce this. So this just made me feel so much better because I was like, well, I was worried about what, the sticks online, where's this medicine coming from? So that was really relieving for me to learn that, and going down there and seeing how they had this relationship with the frogs. And yeah, so that's essentially what they do. There is this concern about over harvestation, right? As Kambo becomes really popular in the world right now because of just how amazing this medicine is, are these frogs going to be over harvested? And that is a valid concern. So there are people that are doing really good work right now that are working on um, that. I think they're working on making the populations increase in certain parts. And then also, I have a dear sister, a friend of mine. She's a scientist and a Kambo practitioner. She got into Kambo because it healed her Lyme disease, because that's one thing that Kambo can help is to heal autoimmune disorders. I just wanted to briefly, I know this is a segue, but if you're someone that's suffering with a chronic health condition, chronic pain, autoimmune
Yeah.
disorder, something that you've had for a long time, Kambo can heal that, but it won't just be just one session with Kambo and it's going to just completely reset you back to balance again. It requires multiple Kambo sessions to really bring the body back to balance again, and then a maintenance of that. So, depending on what you've been
So
living
good.
with, how long you've been living with it for, many people are turning to Kambo because the allopathic medicine is just not working for them. So anyway,
Yeah.
a little bit of a segue, but coming back to my friend, she's a scientist. She's working with a bunch of other scientists and chemists and everything, and they're actually creating a lab-made synthetic version of Kambo. So that,
Right.
and I think that's great for the future of what, how popular this medicine is already getting and is going to become due to that issue of over harvesting. So these are just some of the things, we want to use this medicine with discernment. We want to make sure that the medicine doesn't get into the hands of anybody that it shouldn't be in, and that the people that are carriers of the medicine are really working with the medicine in an ethical way and in a respectful way with reverence.
Yeah.
So like even just for myself, like I'm just gonna go do Kambo tomorrow, right? I'm not just gonna serve the medicine to anybody who's just like, yeah, I just want to try it for the experience of just because I haven't done it before, for example. Like it has to really call you. You have to be like, this is the right time. Like I'm saying yes, this feels like a full body yes, and
Mhm.
this feels like the right time is now. So those are just some other pieces I wanted to say around this
Yeah.
question.
Yeah, thank you so much for bringing all of that forward. So many important pieces there, and I think that I'll caveat as well that really applies to any sort of medicine work, right? Be careful who you work with. Sourcing is really important, right? There's a lot of not so good things happening out there as this industry grows, as more and more people are wanting to work with various medicines, right? So we do have to be careful and remember the spirit. I'm so grateful that you brought that piece through. As we should when we choose to eat meat, in my opinion, as well, right? Or if we're choosing to, have any sort of animal, in our life, having, and not just animals, plants as well, like all of it, right? I think just having respect and, honoring and really doing what we can to bring that gratitude into those experiences. And yeah, I really appreciate you sharing, how they really have that relationship with the toad, right? Or with the frog. And the energy behind them collecting it is not to harm, it's to, the symbiotic relationship is kind of what I hear, and I know a lot of tribes, have had that with animals in their surroundings and plants and different ways for ever since humans have been around, right? It's that nature connection and that relationship that we have with nature in that way. So really beautiful. And then I'm grateful you mentioned about the autoimmune diseases and different things. I think that will resonate with a lot of people listening to this podcast. I know there's a lot more women, dealing with, and men, of course, but dealing with autoimmune issues. And yeah, this isn't necessarily a one and done. I think that's yeah, really, really great to mention. Yeah, this has been incredible. I think I had another question, but it's left my mind. So we're just gonna go. Oh, it's back. So, how long does Kambo like stay in your system? This is. I'll preface this with this is like a selfish question for when I'm breastfeeding, when there's no longer a baby in me, and I want to do Kambo again. Like, how long does Kambo stay in your system even after maybe you've wiped it off? Like, is there still a blueprint for mothers who are breastfeeding or people who are having to go back to work and do drug tests or like whatever's happening there? I think some people might wonder about that as well.
Oh, well, it wouldn't impact a drug test. It would
I
be,
guess not. I
it
guess
would
not.
improve
It's
it. It
helpful.
would be like, wow, that person's squeaky clean. And yeah, the medicine's really in your system for around 24 hours. It's still working through you after, like you said, sometimes the bottom purge comes after a combo session. Um, and really, for energetically, right, it's with you for life, right? That
Yeah. Right.
spirit of the medicine's always going to be with you. But yeah, the physical medicine, I'd say around 24 hours in your body. And then people are going to feel the benefits of it for days or weeks after the medicine is
Yeah.
received. In terms of for mothers and breastfeeding, there's different. Um, can't think of the word, but variations of what should be done. So I always say there's for 2 days to breast pump or breast pump. Am I saying
Yeah.
that?
Pump.
to, to,
Store your
to
milk.
pump your, to store your milk. Um, and yeah, and then that's basically for after, like from,
Right.
yeah, for the 2 days after Kambo, just to
Yeah.
be on the safe side. Even though like in the Amazon, the women, now this isn't recommended here in North America at all, but the women there, they do Kambo when they're pregnant. They do Kambo when they're breastfeeding. They give Kambo to babies.
Yeah.
So we don't, there's a lot of differences with the way that they live and the way that we live. Of course, I'm not condoning any of those things, but you know, just to like I think that because you might be releasing toxins through all of parts of your body, we don't want your toxins in your breast milk to be feeding your baby. That
Yeah.
would be the concern, right?
Yeah.
Even though all these peptides are actually going to be good for your baby. So then after, that physical purge is done through the system, then your milk is even going to be better for your baby. Like you're going to be having like all your hormones are going to be in balance, and you're going to have all this good bacteria in your body. So your breast milk's, going to be going good for
Yeah.
your baby afterward. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Thank you for explaining that. Super helpful.
Yeah.
I'm excited to get back into it and, come next year. Next year, I'm like counting the moments. We'll make a plan for that because I think such a beautiful tool. And I wanted to come back. That was the other thing I wanted to comment on. That really neat that somebody who's working on creating a synthetic version. That was a question I had for you earlier, actually, because I know I just did my 5-MeO DMT training, and they've been able to do that from the bufo frog venom, right, and actually make a blueprint and synthetically produce it. So of course they'll be able to over time find a way to do that with Kambo and hopefully carry the same spirit in that blueprint, in that molecule, and make that more accessible and less frogs having to be over harvested. So some good things hopefully on the horizon here with that. But yeah, this is incredible. We could definitely keep chatting forever, but I want to wrap things up here. And yeah, where can everybody come and find more about this work? And I know that you were just sharing with me before we jumped on the podcast that you are also open to people from afar coming up and working with you in this way. So I know a lot of my listeners are in the States, so just know that if you ever want to come up and hang out with us on Vancouver Island, yeah, but I'll pass that over to you, Sakura. Where can people find more about you, and what sort of offers do you have for those who want to come and work with you?
Yeah, well, at the moment, Danny and I are going to become neighbors pretty soon, really, like just
Yes,
down the street from each other. So if that's still the case when you're listening to this podcast and you're like, wow, I want to work with both of these women, you can come see us
let's do
both in the
it.
same neighborhood.
Yes.
Yeah, so I do one-on-one Kambo sessions, and I always say, like, if you can do 3 sessions, that would be the most powerful. You don't have to, just one session with Kambo is very powerful, but doing 3 is so powerful. I'm open to seeing clients here on Vancouver Island at my home, temple space, ceremony space. If you, I'm setting up accommodation here, or there's lots of great like Airbnbs in the area. So you can come, see me for a one-on-one ceremony. And I do sometimes group ceremonies with women. I do have a retreat I do every May or June, which is called the Triple Goddess Kambo Retreat. It's very powerful. You sit with the medicine 3 days in a row. And you can find more information, a lot more information on my website at www.divinityrising.com, I think /Kambo, I'm pretty sure. Anyways, if you just go to the landing page, you'll see a link and it'll give you a lot more information about Kambo, these different peptides and how it functions, the pricing, all of those things. But I'm more than happy to jump on a call with you. So if you're interested, but you're not quite sure, maybe always happy to jump on a phone call to talk to you about the medicine, if it's the right timing, what your intention is, to really feel and make a decision that feels good. So everything, and yeah, you're making an informed decision around sitting with the medicine.
Yeah. Beautiful. I'll make sure, of course, all those links are down below in the show notes so you can come in and check it out and reach out to Sakura. Is the best way for people to reach out, ask questions, book a call with you? Is that through your website?
Um,
What's the
yeah, you
best
can
way to
go to the
contact you?
contact page on the
Okay.
website and just say interested. I mean, I do have a Calendly book
Great.
30-minute session with me link, so I can give that
Yay.
to you if you want to include that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll make sure everything that you have or you need to contact Sakura is below in the show notes. And thank you so much again for being here, Sakura. This is so incredible. I'm getting re-excited. I can already feel the medicine flowing through me. It's time again soon when baby is out to end your next retreat. I keep missing them, but it sounds incredible. And it's definitely on my list to make it to the next one. So hopefully some of you will come and join me. And yeah, I hope that you really enjoyed listening to this episode. And thanks again, Sakura, for being here. And looking forward to being your neighbor soon and doing some more work together, collaborating in the future.
Thank you so much. It's really truly an honor to share about this sacred medicine. It's a privilege to be a carrier of the medicine of Kambo, and I love to share it with as many people as I possibly can because it's truly transformed my life and so many people I know. And yeah, it's just amazing. So thank you for having me.
Yes, wonderful. Thanks everyone so much. We'll see you on the next episode. Thanks for tuning in to another episode. If you're loving what we talked about today, please remember to subscribe, leave a 5-star review, and share this episode with someone you love. It helps me incredibly reach more people and help more women who need this information. And if you're ready to go deeper into discovering your unique root causes and patterns keeping you hooked on sugar year after year, be sure to come and check out the brand new free root cause quiz that will give you actionable items to finally begin healing your relationship with sugar from the inside out. You can find the link to download this quiz and other amazing resources in the show notes below. I also wanted to just take a quick minute to share a disclaimer. The information provided in this podcast is for general purposes only and is not at all intended to be professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. And as much as I do my best to bring you up to date and accurate information, please remember that I'm also sharing my opinions, stories, and ideas that are ultimately not supported by mainstream science. My personal advice should not be taken as professional advice, and you are always encouraged and advised to consult with your own healthcare practitioner before making any changes to your health and wellness routine. This podcast is intended to inspire and offer you alternative views to healing your relationship with food, mind, and body. It is up to each listener to take responsibility for their own health and wellness decisions. I hold no liability or responsibility for your results or lack thereof. Thanks for tuning in to the Beyond Sugar Freedom podcast, and we can't wait to see you in the next episode. Let's go.